IPC, Dale Gate 433, back with another video. I've been promising to do a used finds video for ages now, so I finally got around to it. So used records. So 2024, we're into July, near the end of July 2024, and so far this year I've been to one record fair back in February and no used record shops. So from that perspective, I'm just trying not to avoid temptation. I'm still buying stuff online. I'm still buying the new issues from bands and labels that I support and follow. But from a used perspective, I've kind of hinted at a previous video. I've got hundreds and hundreds of albums in my inbox, probably 700 or 800 albums in the inbox. So probably why don't need to go out and be hunting. That's vinyl, CD and cassette, about 700 or 800, and digital. However, I will still continue to go to my car boot sales on a Sunday morning, and I will continue to pop in the odd charity shop, and I will continue to dig through the odd collection when I get an opportunity, or do the odd auction or whatever it might be. So I am still picking up an awful lot of records. So I've picked 9 used records that I found here. Not all this year. Some might even be last year, and they span 6 decades. 9 records span 6 decades. So we start in the 50s and we go through to the 2000s. So I thought I'd share those with you. So first up is Nina Simone. This is Nina Simone at Town Hall. So this came out in 1959. So at the kind of near the beginning of Nina Simone's career, certainly nearer the beginning than the end. This is a UK 1966 repress on Golden Guinea label, which was a pie kind of reissue or budget label, I think. This is really good album, lovely album, a really good performance, live performance. It's Nina Simone with a piano, and then supported with just an upright bass and drums, so a trio. So quite intimate, and her voice is fantastic, her playing is fantastic, and the songs are great too. So it starts off with Black is the Colour of My True Love's Hair, which is a fantastic song. Other standouts on side 1 is there's a song called You Can Have Him. It says from the musical comedy Miss Liberty, and that's a sort of, I don't know, the way I interpreted it is it's quite a long song, and it's her saying you can have him for all the reasons you can have him, when I think she secretly doesn't want the other woman to have him, if you see what I mean. And then on side 2, it's got Summertime, a very sort of slow rendition of Cotton Eye Joe, and Wild is the Wind. So they're probably the standouts for me. Really good album. So that's 1959. Okay, for the 60s, I picked up several electric blues albums, which I'm kind of working my way through. Not always my thing. I like it in small doses, but some of the big artists I do enjoy, and this is certainly one of the big electric blues artists. So this is Albert King and his album Years Gone By from 1969, and this is on the Stax UK issue. So yeah, I've got Born Under a Bad Sign, the 1967 album. I've got a Rhino reissue, I think it is, of that, and that's the only Albert King album I had before this. Like his guitar playing, like his voice. This has got on it Killing Floor and The Sky Is Crying, amongst others. And yeah, solid album. Probably prefer the other one. Would like to have found original of Born Under a Bad Sign, but all these albums were, well, none of these albums I don't think were more than £2. Most of them were £1 or less even. So into the 70s now, and sticking with the electric blues and sticking with one of the three kings. This time we've got B.B. King, and this is his 1970 album, Indianola, Mississippi Seeds. Wasn't familiar with this album, didn't know it existed. And yeah, this is really sort of soulful, lovely. I mean, B.B. King's guitar is just so smooth and syrupy and lovely. Yeah, really sort of soulful blues, electric blues album, and enjoyable from that. It's not, it's not showy particularly, but flows really well, I thought. The second track, You're Still My Woman, is a great song. So that's B.B. King. Staying in 1970, so but by obviously following the path that I've chosen to follow this year of just taking what I find at car boots or charity shops, means most of what I find I would never have chosen. I would have flicked past in any record shop or boot sale, but I did actually find in a charity shop something that's actually on my wants list. It's been on my wants list for probably 10 years, and I came across it, so I've so that's good. And that is this album, Taste on the Boards. So Taste, Rory Gallagher, so British, Irish, whatever you want to call it, blues, rock, kind of boom of the late 60s into the early 70s. And this was on my wants list, probably been on my wants list about 10 years ago. And yeah, interesting how taste changed. So, still happy to have it, still really enjoyed it, but I'm not really into the British electric blues so much and the classic rock these days. I'm ploughing a different furrow, but yeah, nice to have. And also quite interesting is there are a couple of songs on here that feature, the saxophone, which probably when I put this on, I would have been going, oh, I like all that guitar blues stuff, but not so sure about the saxophone. And this time I was thinking, oh, interesting, a bit of saxophone. Now that sort of 10 years later, I've kind of developed and got a bit more into jazz, I appreciated that, whereas 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have done. Okay, next up, we're into 1973 and a bit of soul funk. This was car boot sale, I think part of a stack of stuff that I pulled together. No idea, this was a complete blind pull from the box. That just looked interesting. You're not gonna leave that behind for £1. It's Creative Source, and this is on the Sussex label, US press, I think. Not sure actually if it is or isn't. Yeah, soul funk. It's listed as I'd say more on the soul than the funk, but yeah, really nice album. And the opening track, You Can't Hide Love, is brilliant. Really enjoyed that. And then on side 2, I think another standout, there is an 11-minute 45-second version of Who Is He and What Is He to You, which thankfully they do really well, because that would have killed the album if they'd done that badly, and it was 11 minutes 45 seconds. But no, that's really great kind of version of that Bill Withers song. So yeah, enjoyable, nice to have. Again, another album, probably wouldn't have given a second glance in a record shop, because I wouldn't have known what it was. Okay, in amongst those blues albums I got, or electric blues albums I got, was this album, which looks like it's bluesy as well. This is Ted Hawkins and What's Your Step. It's actually what I'd probably call it more soul, acoustic soul. And yeah, really, this is probably for me, maybe the pick of the bunch. Really enjoyed this. Slightly kind of taken aback with the opening track is very much, it's just Ted Hawkins and an acoustic guitar doing the title track, What's Your Step? So it is very acoustic, and you think, oh, what's this going to be? But then after that, there is still some acoustic stuff, but there's a full band, you know, so there is piano, bass, drums, saxophone, trumpet, and backing vocals and all of that. So it gets a bit more produced, a bit more kind of soul production on it. And in fact, the What's Your Step acoustic version that opens side A, on side B, there's also a What's Your Step band version where they did the same song but with the full band on it, and both are great. But yeah, just a lovely voice, a lovely feel to this album. Said it's more sort of acoustic soul. It's not full-on funk soul or anything like that, but really, really enjoyable album. Okay, that was 1981, I think. So we're into the 80s on that one. Staying in the 80s, and we have got, he says, what am I doing? I just want to check something. Bear with. I can't remember when this was. Okay, sorry. Back with you. Yeah, staying in the 80s. This was a car boot sale find. I think this might have been towards the end of last year, actually. And this is, well, I always struggle with they don't make life easy when you're trying to look them up. This is V Spy, but I've also seen them listed as Spy versus Spy, and then the album AO Mod TV Verse, which I haven't worked out what that means. So this is, what is it? Power pop, pub rock, new wave, perhaps? 1982, I think. 1986. Yeah, Australian band, it's an Australian press, I think. And yeah, really, really good. Songs are very, are not political necessarily, well, some probably are, but certainly they've all got strong messages that are getting across. So this is a band with, or certainly a band leader with something to say. So the opening track, Don't Tear It Down, I think is about, you know, in Australia, this is about redevelopment and tearing down old buildings to build new buildings. And, you know, is that really necessary? Credit cards is about, you know, people living their life on credit cards and getting into trouble. There's stuff about abuse, stuff about war. So yeah, so a good power pop album with lots of chiming guitar and great vocals, all with messages, strong messages coming through as well. Okay, so that's the 80s. We're now into the 90s, and this I was happy to find this a few weeks ago at a car boot sale for a couple of £, and that is Happy Mondays, Pills and Thrills and Bellyaches. This is I think this is an original when it had the US kind of photos or pictures on it. Yeah, so it's it's a little bit of a tired copy. It's a VG cover. It's got a bit of wear. There's a little bit of spine damage there, and it's probably a VG. But yeah, really, really enjoyable. Obviously, I've had this on CD since it came out, but never had it on vinyl before. So to get it for a couple of £, at a car boot sale was great. And you know, I know the hits. Obviously, I've had the CD, but I've not played the CD for years and years and years, and I've not really sat down, I don't think, and listened to the album. Even one of the CD, I probably would have ripped the CD and taken the hits off of it and put them on a playlist. So I don't think can't remember the last time I would have sat down and listened to this album. And it is a bit samey, if I'm honest. but probably in a good way, because you know there's the hits, but then there are other songs that are similar to the hits on it, which makes it a really good listen if you're in the right mood for it. So yeah, really happy to get that into the collection, and yeah, a good album for when the mood takes me. And then finally we're into the 2000s, final album. This is the Castanets and their album Cathedral. So this is a US Americana folk artist, and this is still in the shrink. Now I'm keeping it. I'll probably take the shrink off it, because you know I don't keep albums in the shrink. I think that's a ridiculous thing, and I don't understand what it's all about. But take it off, reveal the artwork. So I probably will be doing that after this video. Yeah, so this, say Americana, but it's very dark, quite, I don't know, I'm not going to be able to describe this very well. It is quite dark. If you think about Lancome, who were kind of, you know, all the rage last year with Irish folk band with their dark, well, this is kind of your Americana, American folk, but with that kind of darker, psychedelic in some places feel to it. Really, really interesting, and yes, good to stumble across. So most of these records, you say, not the sort of thing you would stumble across, or even if you did do anything about. But obviously, in a field in the middle of Hampshire, happy to get my pound coin out for these records. So there's 9 used albums. I'm thinking I might do a video of some singles. I've seemed to have been finding an awful lot of 7-inch singles this year, so I may come back quite soon, maybe this weekend, and do a video showing my singles finds. Hey, there I go again, promising something that I'm going to fail to deliver on, but hey ho. Okay, cheers VC, thanks, bye.